Hey guys, my name is Lily and today I want to build myself a blackout box, which is basically a power station that I can also charge with solar power. And here you can see all of the components that I want to use for this project. So first of all, I have this case here, which is a nautical case, and it should be waterproof to IP67 standard. And then here you can see the battery that I've bought. This here is a LifeBow battery. So it's a lithium battery, and they are great because they are deep cycle batteries, and you can discharge and recharge them for a couple of hundred, if not 1,000 times. So that's a really good battery. The only downside of lithium batteries is that you should not charge them below 0 degrees Celsius. I heard that they can take some substantial damage if you recharge them if the temperature is lower than -5 even. And this is why I also want to have the opportunity to measure the temperature inside of the box. And here I got a very cheap thermometer that I bought off of Amazon. And I want to somehow mount it at the outside of the box so that I always can see the temperature inside of the box. So this is the only downside of this battery. I cannot recharge it if the temperature is too low. Okay, so what other specs does the battery have? So here you can see that it comes with operating voltage of 12.8 volts. Then also it's charged with 14.4 volts. So I have already ordered a solar charge controller by the company Victron MPPT, but it's not here yet. But for these lithium batteries, you need a proper charging device, and the cheap ones that you get on Amazon are not working. So here you can see a cheap solar charge controller that was included in one of my solar panels. And first of all, they are not MPPT, so they're not very efficient. They only have like 70% efficiency, and also they are not rated for lithium batteries. So these are only for lead acid batteries. So I want to mount this battery inside of the box here, but also I want to mount two 12-volt sockets that I have in this bag here. Then I want to install a light, and also this is going to be the fuse box, which I'm going to mount inside of the box. So let's see if this fits inside. If I close it like this, yeah. Okay, next here I have a couple of switches, and those are rated at 20 amps, and they are DC switches. So make sure that you get the direct current switches because the other ones are not rated for DC appliances. And then here you can see some high quality banana plugs. They are gold plated, and I want to use them to attach to these solar cables. And then here you can see some high quality banana sockets, and those I also want to install into the box. And I think the best place to do that is back here, because here the banana plugs are protected by the two rims here that come down from the box. So I think that's the best and most perfect placement for the banana plugs. Okay, next I want to insert the switches, but the thing is that they have this small notch at the side, and that's so that the switches don't turn around inside of the socket. And now I want to take the file and carve out a small groove at this side, and this is exactly where the notch is going to go into, and then the switches will stay straight. Alright, next I want to mount the battery to the case, and I think I'm going to take this double-sided tape here. So I don't know if this is actually working, so maybe this is not strong enough. If it's not working, then I will try to get some Velcro and I will glue it onto the battery, and I will do the same for the bottom of the case. So maybe Velcro is the better choice for mounting a battery, but I don't have it at home, so I have to go with this tape now. Okay, now before I glue it into the case, I first want to attach two wires to the positive and negative. Alright, so for the screws I want to use these blue terminals, and for the wires I want to use these ones here. They have 2.5 square millimeters of thickness. But before I use any wires, I always check a wire sizing chart, and there you can find out what gauge you need for your amperage. And this is, I think, the best chart online. It's by the company Blue Sea Systems. So here you can just zoom in, and then you will see the amperage that you want to use. So the maximum that I want to use from my battery is 10 amps, and I won't use a lot of wire length inside of the box. So I should be fine with 16 AVG. That's about 1.5 square millimeter, but I'm using the next bigger size, which is 2.5 square millimeters or 14 AVG. So this is just for a better efficiency, and maybe for the smaller loads I'm going to use a thinner wire, but for the thicker ones I'm going to go for the 2.5 square millimeters. Especially I want to use them for the battery, in between the battery and the solar charge controller, and also in between the battery, the master switch and the 12-volt plugs. So on the positive terminal of the battery you always want to have a fuse. Yeah, I think I'm going to shorten this wire because the fuse should be as close to the terminal of the battery. Make sure that nothing is coming out anymore. And now we have to insert a fuse into the fuse holder. I'm not planning to use more than 10 amps at once, but if I use all of the devices together it might be 12 amps. So I'm going to use a 15 amps fuse just to be sure. You just want to size the fuse a little bit bigger than the actual current that is flowing. Okay, next I would like to mount the fuse box. So this monitor here is available in different sizes, and I got the smaller one, which goes up to 20 amps. And here the shunt is inside of the monitor, so you don't need an extra shunt. And the wiring of my device here is really easy. You just wire in the battery and then you wire in the load. And there's no complicated wiring at all. The thing is, I don't want to directly connect this to the battery because I want to be able to switch this device on and off. So I'm going to put this one switch in between. This is also going to function as the master switch. So now I'm going to connect the battery cables to the switch here, and then from here I'm going to connect to the battery monitor, which has a shunt at the inside. And then from here I'm going to connect to the fuse box, then to the switches, and then I come to my other devices here. Okay, now the negative of the battery goes onto the brass terminal of the switch, which is on top here. Okay, so now I'm preparing the black wire to go into the battery monitor. And for that I want to use these protected terminals. And you just, hold on a second, I have to take off more of the insulation here. So you just take your wire, you twist it, and then you stick it into this small, it's maybe a pipe or something, and then you have this device here which is crimping down the connection. So now you have this really awesome terminal which easily goes into the terminal of the shunt here. And now of course I have to connect this to the black wire that is coming from the battery, because this is going to go into the switch now. I take a little bit of a bigger blade connector. So this is tight now, but actually we can see a little bit of wire coming out, and this is why we want to use a shrink tube to secure the wires. Okay, this is it, and this now goes into the terminal of the switch, and the end of the wire goes into the shunt. Okay, next we need this wire here that connects to the shunt, and it goes down to the output of the master switch. But I also want to use some shrink tube for the blade connection so that you don't short your wires by accident. Next I need the wires for the load, so here we attach the positive wire, and that directly goes to the terminal of the fuse box. That's a perfect little wire that I can connect to this stud here. Alright, so I've prepared another wire, and this black wire is going to go from the black terminal of the load of the shunt to the rest of all of the switches and appliances. So I will connect all of the negatives of the switches and also the negatives of the 12 volt sockets, and also I will connect the negative of the thermometer and the light. Okay, so I was just working along my way to connect all of the black wires, and then I had a look at this inline fuse that I attached to the positive lead of the battery, and I realized that this is only 16 AVG. So this is actually a pretty thin wire, although it feels thick. So I think I rather want to have a thicker wire, and I'm going to exchange that wire to this one here. This one here has 4 square millimeters. It's much thicker, and I also can insert a fuse into the wire here. Okay, so now we are done with connecting all of the negative terminals with the black wire here. The next step is that we want to lead some wires from the fuse box to the switches. So each of the switches gets one of these terminals, and then from the other terminal of the switches we will go to our appliances. Okay, now we have connected 3 wires from the fuse box going to the middle prong of 3 different switches. And now we have to use the last prong of the switches and attach it to the load. So I think this switch here I'm going to use for the 12 volt socket. Then this one here is going to switch on the thermometer here, and the third one I'm going to use to switch on the light. Okay, now for the connection to the 12 volt plugs, I have made myself this jumping cable here. So now I'm going to attach this cable to the switch, and also I'm going to go through here and attach the wire to the positive poles of both of the sockets, like so. Now this wire here comes down from the thermometer, but it's actually too short, so I cannot go down to the switch. So I have to prolong the wire here. Okay, and finally I can connect the thermometer to the switch. Okay, so now for the fuses, I want to use a 15 amps fuse for the main fuse here at the battery. The battery could give me more energy actually, so the continuous discharge current is 20 amps, but actually I don't want to draw this much of amperage because my wires are not sized for that. So I only have like 15 ampere wires, and this is why I'm using a 15 ampere fuse for this fuse holder here. Okay, so next I want to put in the fuse for the light, and that's this fuse holder right here. And actually the light does not draw a lot of current, so it only needs like 15 milliamps or something. So I'm going to use the smallest size of fuse that I have, which is 2 amps. Now the same goes for this device, which is the thermometer, and it only draws, I believe, far below 1 amp. So for the thermometer I also want to use a very small size fuse, and the smallest that I have is 2 amps again. Last but not least, we have the fuse for the 2 12 volt sockets, and for those I'm going to need a bigger fuse because from one of these sockets you can draw at least 5 amps. So here you have, for each USB slot you have like 2.4 amps, together that's 5 amps, and you can draw even more from the 12 volt socket. Yeah, so I think I'm going to use a 10 amps fuse for this slot, and if I need more current than this, then I will have to size up the fuse. But I think I'm going to be fine with 10 amps. I don't think that I will draw more actually. Okay, now comes the moment of truth. Okay, I finally connected the battery to the master switch. Now comes the moment of truth. Woo! Yeah! Voltage 13.39, current 0, power 0, energy 0. Now let's switch on this switch. Okay, I switched on the USB socket and also the 12 volt socket here. And the blue light here is only drawing like 0.02 amps. Next switch. Temperature 19.5 degrees Celsius. So this device here draws another 0.03 amps. And then the light. Oh, the light is not working yet because I have not attached the black wire to the battery yet. So now if I switch off the master switch, all of the other switches should go out as well. Yeah. Nice. Woo! Alright guys, so it's the next day and finally my MPPT charging controller has arrived. And now I want to mount this somehow besides the battery. And I was really lucky, so this device fits into here just perfectly. But still I need some kind of plate where I can screw down this device. So let's see what I have in my basement. Okay, now it's time to attach the wires of the battery. Now that I've connected the wires of the battery to the MPPT solar charge controller, I also need to make 2 more connections going from here. These are the banana sockets directly to here, and this is the terminal where it says PV. Okay, the top here is the positive one. Everything is now wired up and functional, and here you can see the 2 wires that are coming from the banana sockets, and they are going into the slots where it says PV. Then the other 2 wires are going back to the battery, and also I have connected the black wire of the light directly to the battery. So now everything should be working. Yeah! 13.39 volts. Now I've switched this on. 0.02 amperes. 19.5 degrees Celsius right now. And the light is now on. And it's only drawing like 0.01 ampere. Yeah, and the solar charge controller is now blinking. That means the power is on. Okay, so all in all, this is looking really good. Okay, first of all, I would like to plug in my battery charging unit here. And this one comes with a 12 volt plug. Let's see what happens. Okay, so now we are drawing 0.65 amperes. That's about 6 watts or 9 watts. And then also I want to plug in my small walkie-talkie radio that comes with this USB charging port. Let's see what happens if we plug this one in. Okay, now we are drawing 10 watts. And 0.78 amps. Alright guys, so I have to say I'm really happy with my new blackout box. Okay, next I want to prepare my solar cables. So what I have here is a 4 square millimeter solar cable, and I want to attach it to my banana plugs. Okay, here I have my banana plugs, but if you hold them together like this, you will short the solar panel. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking shrink tube, put it over so that it exactly fits over the corner here, and then I shrink it down to make sure that we don't get a short that easily. Two perfect banana plugs, high quality. Okay, for more protection I want to use some PET bottles, and I'm now going to drill a hole through the lid. So now I can put on this protection, this cover, to make sure that the solar cables cannot short themselves, and also in here the plug is protected a little bit more. So this is a great and cheap solution to keep your wires protected. At the other end of the wires I want to attach some MC4 connectors. Those are typical for solar cables, and they usually come with a very good quality. guys, so next step is charging your power box. So if you want to build this yourself, first of all, it's really important that you switch on the MPPT solar charge controller before you hook up the solar panel. So first you want to make a connection between the battery and the MPPT, and once this is on, this device here, then you can connect your solar cables and you can use whatever solar panel you have at home that is rated for this solar charge controller. I happen to have this foldable solar panel because it's really lightweight and small, and the cool thing is that this folds up to a very small size, and this way you can transport it even in your backpack, for example, and it doesn't take up a lot of room. And this is why I like this solar panel so much. If you're interested in this brand here, it's by the company of GridTrack. Okay, now the cool thing is that this solar panel has a 12-volt output socket, which is right here at the side. It also comes with different kinds of USB, so you can directly hook up your devices to the solar panel if you don't have the power station. But if you want to recharge this battery now, you will have to get a conversion cable. You will need something like this that you plug in here at the side, and then at the other end you have your MC4 connectors again, and those I can now plug together with my solar cables that I've made myself. Black to black, red to red. And now I will connect the banana plugs into the sockets here at the side. And now that this is connected, you just lay your solar panel into the sun, and this way you can recharge your power station. Now for the entire charging time with solar panels, it's important that you never switch off the master switch, because otherwise your solar charge controller can get damaged. Also, it's really important that you keep track of the temperature. So if the temperature is lower than 0 degrees, I personally would not recommend that you charge your LiFePO battery anymore. The light is actually really strong. Now the thing is, I cannot really say how much the solar panel is charging my battery, because this device here is only for the loads and not for the solar charge controller. But what you can get is you can download the app by the company Victron, and then you can see on your phone how much the MPPT solar charge controller is charging your battery. So that's a pretty awesome feature, and yeah, those Victron devices are the best of the best, and I can highly recommend them. Yeah, I have to say I was really lucky that the devices fit into the box so well. So there's only a 2mm gap at this side, and yeah, here we are having contact at this side here. So yeah, I was really lucky with this box, and I think that this product is a great thing that you can make yourself. If you have a day off or something, then you can easily build yourself a device like this. Yeah, so this is it for today. I really want to thank you for watching, guys. This is my new power station for blackouts and also for just camping and having fun. And as I said before, I will leave you the link of this foldable solar panel in the description below. Thank you for watching, guys, and stay tuned till next time.